Guys, want to buy a property, pull out all your money, use that same deposit to buy again? Well, watch this video and I'll show you how. This exact strategy helped me grow my portfolio to where it is now from a very limited cash, a first deposit of 10%, which was about £18,000 at the time. I grew a portfolio using this exact strategy. Let's get into it. You scale with limited cash, and that's what everyone who comes to me, they have enough saved for one deposit, but how do you grow a portfolio? Well, watch this video, let's get into it. We'll cover how to find a BRRR deal, how to fund a deal, how to maximize the returns, how to remortgage, fund it, and then buy the second one and carry on recycling the pot of cash and growing a portfolio. Step one, guys, this is really, really crucial. Buy below market value. And what I mean by that is you buy below market value on day one. It can't be below market value after you spent 100 grand or 50 grand or 10 grand on a refurb. It needs to be below market value today. So what does that mean? It means if you were to put it on the open market, would you get 20% more, 25% more? That's what we're aiming for. We might not always achieve it depending where the property is or what we can yield from it, for example, a HMO, but we're essentially looking for, if we put that property on Rightmove, would it sell fast within 90 days? And would we get a higher price than we're paying for it? So when you're negotiating a property, guys, on Rightmove, for example, and you try and get 10k off, it's very unlikely you put that back on Rightmove and you're going to get an extra 10k because it's sold for what it's worth. But where we're getting properties off market, not on Rightmove, we're negotiating substantial discounts. For example, probate, cash buying companies, our contacts with estate agents. We can be sure that we can run valuations. We can be sure that if we put it back on Rightmove, we could make that below market. Sometimes we even put it in auction, guys, and we can make a quick amount of money. Now, we need to make sure, as I said, day one, below market value. So how do we find this below market value? As I said, we have a variety of sources. We're sourcing all the time. Our knowledge, our reputation in the market, but it's usually not on the market, guys. Think about it. If it's on Rightmove, okay, are you going to get it 20 grand below asking price? And if you do, that means that the property is worth that because everyone's seen it on Rightmove. We're usually buying it well before, guys. So that's one of the advantages. That's how I built my portfolio. I bought probate sales, as I said, repossessions, corporate vendors, housing associations, buying off the council, etc. And this is where you're going to make the money. If you don't buy below market value and you try and force appreciation by adding value, it doesn't matter. If you bought a property for market value, you spend 30k on it, okay, it's not going to work, this strategy, because yes, you might add 40k to the property, but when you come to remortgage out, it just doesn't work, guys, because you've got a lot of cash tied up in the deal. So we'll throw some examples on the screen now. Properties we source all the time, below market value for clients. Usually we have to buy them fast because their landlord's exiting the market or probate, etc., etc. So we fund them in-house, guys, using bridging, and we pay a little bit extra on the rate, like 1%, but we know that we're getting 30k or getting all our money back, and it's substantially below market value, 25% or more, and this strategy will really work. The second step you have to do is you have to add value in some way, smartly, with a limited budget. And how do you do this, guys? So what I usually advocate to clients is you have to do something to the property. This is step two. You have to do something to the property to justify, even though we know we've got it below market value. When we're going for a remortgage, surveyor, I mean, it helps that we get them off market so there's no pictures online. But let's say if there was a picture online, you have to justify, at least give it a fresh coat of paint, change the carpets, something that will go, okay, well, on land registry, they bought it for 100. I can see the comparables in the area are 130. And to be honest, they've done a little bit. They've changed the carpet, they've painted it. What's this going to cost you? A couple of grand. You could probably do it yourself over a couple of weekends. Bish, bash, bosh, job done. But more importantly, guys, what value do we add as people buy in to really obviously extract maximum value? So most of the properties we buy have got tenants in them. They're undervalued, and you can't sell a tenanted property to first-time buyers, so the value drops. So we're buying off landlords. Added to that, other landlords are not typically wanting to buy with tenants because you don't really know the tenants, right? So it's a risk. If you ask an auctioneer, I want to put this property, if you're buying a property, a resource your property, and you ask an auctioneer, I want to put it straight into auction with the tenants, he'll likely say the same price as you're buying it for. Why? Because there's no appetite to buy tenanted properties. It's so messy, there's so much compliance. But guys, we do all of that. We know, we manage properties, we rent properties. I've got a massive portfolio, so I know what to look out for. And if all these ticks are met, we can buy a tenanted property well below market value. Then what do? We solve the problem. So if it's under rented, we'll put the rent up. If they don't agree that, at the moment, we can issue Section 21. We can still do it in the future, by the way, even though the Renters' Rights Act is coming into force. You can still do it. It's a longer notice period, but we can still do it if we're looking to sell the property. So we solve that problem, guys. We deal with the tenants. We put the rent up to market value, or we issue notice. When we get vacant possession of this property, we've suddenly got an asset which is worth at least 25% to 30% more because we bought well. What do we do then? Well, we can then maximise the returns we want to do. So we can either sell it on and take the profit, or we can rent it as a HMO or to social housing and really double or triple the rent in some cases, which we were getting. Okay, so it's called asset management, and that's where you make really good money, whether it's commercial or residential real estate. Asset management is key. So to recap so far, buy below market value, add value smartly with a budget. We're not looking to do 20 or 30 grand refurbs, guys. It's a waste of time. That 30 grand is for another property. If you've got 60 grand, you should be buying two, for example. Where you might want to do that is if you're doing a HMO conversion. But guys, HMO conversions relying on commercial valuations are few and far between in good areas now. So this, I'm going to talk you through an example where we're doing it through social housing in the Northwest, in Manchester, and how this has worked on a live deal. So we've done this, we've got new tenants, we're getting social housing rents. What do we do next, guys? Number 3, refinance. So what we're looking to do is run a refi off the bridge, off the expensive 1% a month finance we put in, and exit this at the new valuation. So let's say we bought it at 100, it's now worth 130 because we bought it well, and it was always worth 130 on Rightmove, but we got it cheap because it was tenanted to problematic tenants. We've dealt with that problem, we've got new tenants. We then go to a broker, okay, and we go, okay, I've got this house, I bought it 6 months ago. By the way, the time frame is about 6 months. You can do it quicker, but let's assume we're spending minimal and we're doing it in 6 months. So, okay, it's worth 130. They send the valuer out, a rig surveyor. He goes, look at the comparables. Yep. Tenanted, good condition, 130. So what do? We're then borrowing 75%. I'll write it in the note section. 75% times 130. We're borrowing that, which is X amount. We're then repaying the existing bridge, and we're taking our cash out back into our bank. That is essentially what you do. You put it straight in for a remortgage. You borrow against the new existing, the new market comparable valuation, which we've already predetermined before we bought it, guys. When we're sourcing properties, we're already checking the valuations to make sure it's a genuine discount, and we can put it straight back into a remortgage. What we're not doing, guys, is we're going, it's worth 130, next door's sold for 130, but I'm going to build a back extension for 50 and remortgage it for 80 grand more. It's not going to work. It's not going to stack up on the rent even, and it doesn't really work anymore unless you're using commercial HMO valuations, but that's a whole different ball game, and it's for your more sophisticated investors, and you can't in these day and age, very few meet that requirement anymore, guys. It has to be in an Article 4 area, and in Article 4 areas, you're overpaying. There's not a landlord who will sell you a good HMO for under market value. Okay, this is why I advocate buying properties outside the Article 4 area where we can get maximum rent and have a multiple letting strategy, whether it's social housing, HMO, professionals, etc. So we got our cash back out. We paid off this bridge. We've got most of our or all of our money back out. What do, guys? Again, this is crucial. You need to have a pipeline. You need to be planning, okay, I'm going to exit that for X amount. I'm going to get this back in the bank in 6 months. So in month 4, I should be looking for the next one. I should have it secured. I should have the draft contracts in place at the solicitors. As soon as this money's back out, it's gone into the next deal, which guess what? You bought below market value again through our sourcing or through your own sourcing or whatever, right? Through your own contacts. So then you're on to your second property. You do exactly the same again. You're probably in the same area. That's what I did. And it just works, guys. If you keep it simple, you don't do massive refurbs. If you did a massive refurb, you wouldn't have the cash to buy again, for example, okay? And also the rental calculation yield, the 125% meet in it. So you need to meet on a remortgage, typically on a limited company, the rent's got to be covered 125%, okay? So you meet the rent plus 25% of the borrowing amount, of the mortgage amount. So if you're spending 100 and hoping to get it all back out, is that going to stack up? Is your monthly payments going to meet the rent plus 25% on a limited company? Usually not if you're spending loads, unless it's a HMO. As I said, but HMO conversion costs can be up to £100,000, guys. So just bear that in mind. Yes, we do them, but they're for the higher net worth, sophisticated investors who understand the risk and are happy to leave 50k in a deal. This is for someone who comes to me with 35k and want to buy as much, and they want to build that portfolio to 10, 20 properties. This is exactly what you do. When you get your 5th, 6th one, and you start getting 100 grand in your bank and rental income, etc., then you can build on the HMOs, the Airbnb strategies. But this works very well for social housing, works very well in areas in the Northwest we're buying, and we're doing it all the time, guys. Okay, so I'm going to drop now a case study of how we did this recently for clients, so you can work it all out and you can see that we're doing genuine deals every single day for clients. Yes, they're hard to find. Yes, we have a list, but yes, they are working. Guys, quickly, I'm going to put a screen recording now of an app that I use called LENDLORD. They sponsored this video. I've got a free code so you could use this software for yourself, and I tell all the clients, basically, run the numbers for yourself. Any deal we send you, run the numbers and you'll see how good these deals are. So I'll give you an exact example. And LENDLORD uses AI, etc. You can have a free, you can use LENDLORD for free. In my link tree, in the top of this, in my bio, click on it. You've got a deal analyzer, you'll get AI software, you get price predictors, everything, guys. So we sourced a property in Manchester, a 3-bed, semi-detached property for £125,000 for a client. The day one value after refurb was £180,000, guys. It needed freshening up. New carpets, new paint job because it's magnolia, tidied the garden, and crucially, as I said before, the tenants were under rented, 425. The rent on the normal market is about 1,000. The rent for social housing is we can get 1,500. So what do? So we bought it, 25% deposit, 125 grand. We then did the works, £4,000 we spent. And as I said, after refurb value on a conservative estimate was 180. It's actually sold prices for 190. And we toyed with putting in the auction for the client for a quick profit at 160, and it would have sold, but he said, no, I want to keep it and do BRRR. So here's how it worked. So let's have a look at the metrics. The initial cash investment was about £46,000. It's probably less, and that includes a refurb. It was 28% below market value. I'm just reading off LENDLORD, okay? The money left, okay, so let's look at the short-term metrics, as you can see on the screen. Money left in the deal, 13,000. That includes your stamp duty, your fees, your refurb, etc. Guys, I don't think they spent 4K. They did it themselves, but this is example if you use contractors. Okay. The return on capital employed, 64%. ROI, which people love to banny about, and I don't even like the term, but let's have a look at the ROI. 289%, guys. Factor in. Why is it so high? We're using leverage and buying below market value. The return on investment, £40,000. The gross yield, 12.49%. Money left in, 13 grand, guys, and that includes stamp duty, legals, etc. So for 13 grand, he's making over £1,000 a month. The rent for social housing, £1,500, no maintenance, nothing. Guys, it gets even more interesting when you look at, and this is why we do advocate buying this in a long-term strategy, If you look at the long-term return on investment, 220,000 over 10 years in the Northwest, on a default scenario, not even the best case, 220,462. That includes rental increases, which is why I say never sign away 5-year, 10-year leases. And it includes house price increases, 220,000. The return on investment, long term, over 10 years, 1,593%. Guys, that doesn't even include in 2 years, you could remortgage that again and do this whole thing again. So what you do is, you carry on this, but remember, every 2 years, that property, the first one you bought, has gone up. So what do? You can go back to it and tap some more equity out and then start buying 2, 3. That's what I do now. So I don't even need to save money from rent, which I do save money from rent, but I wouldn't need to, because all I can do is go back, okay, that house, let's pull 30k from it and do this. And it just keeps it going, and it's a self-funding business, guys. And that's how people build multi-million-pound portfolios. It's nothing, there's no secret, there's no hard work. I don't work harder than anybody else, really. It's buying well, guys. Having contacts and buying well. Work smarter, not harder. So you can have a look at all of this, okay? And as I said, on the screen example, we'll put the calculations on, but you'll see how it works, okay? And as you can see, if you look at the pictures now coming on screen, the property just needed a tidy up. Guys, we don't get these deals all the time in Manchester, but we get it around the Northwest. Now, another advantage of this is if you really wanted to, you could split this up and make it a HMO and get 4 rooms out of it and charge £600 a room, £2,400 rent, minus your mortgage, and you make pretty much £500-600 more a month. You could do that if you really want to work hard, stress the portfolio. I had a conversation with a client yesterday, 21-year-old, and I was like, look, you can do it, work hard for 3 years. It's going to be a lot of stress, but realistically, all it's going to provide is more money to carry on this, and you'll have 10 properties. It's as much as you want to do or as little as you want to do. My other clients, they just want an easy life, give it social housing, and carry on doing this. Guys, the trick is to always buy well. Yes, in the comments, if you want our sourcing or just examples of more deals or how we've done or what we've done for clients. But guys, please remember, BRRR is not about refurb. It's about buying. If you get this right, all the rest will follow. If you want my free BRRR calculator and associated with Landlord, yes in the comments. See you on the next one.